Hey guys, it's WalterFootball.com After Dark Show for March 28, 2024. We're going to be doing some fantasy football related content tonight. The most exciting fantasy football stories, in our opinion, relating to free agency, and we're going to get to a couple of signings that happened today as well. Joined by Kenny, the president of thecapIsFake.com. Kenny, how are you?
Oh, bro, I'm living a dream. Hanging out in Florida. Summer has started. It's great. Yeah,
That's very exciting. It's
I'm also
good.
doing the carnivore diet, so I'm just eating meat for 30 days,
Nice.
and I'm only eating between 12 and 8 p.m. So it's kind of intermittent fasting. I literally just been having steak, chicken, nothing else, no veggies, no sides, and just water. Except I did say I'm allowed to cheat and have tea. So I'm channeling my inner Brit, my inner Englishman, and drinking a little bit of tea. No cream, no sugar, no additives, just tea. So how about that for a little late night fun?
Well, I have to. I mean, I have to ask you, what prompted this diet that you're on?
Well, I'm fat. No, that's by the way. So
But like, isn't aren't vegetables good for you for like losing weight? Like, doesn't like celery make you lose weight? Like, why don't you use celery?
I'm kind of an extreme personality. Like I think I need to do extreme things just to like get me focused. And so I was reading I was following some stuff by Jordan Peterson. I'm sure he's a fan favorite. Maybe not. Maybe he's a lightning rod figure, depends on who you listen to, I guess. But he's been doing the carnivore diet. His all he eats, he just eats meat. Unseasoned, no salt. He just eats steak, actually. He doesn't even eat any other meats. He just eats lean steak.
Hmm.
And that's it. And water. Like he's been doing it for like 4 or 5 years, and it's like had like tremendous health benefits for him. So I was like, oh, let me give it a try. And I read some articles from the Mayo Clinic and others. This diet is not recommended by most doctors, but I read a couple articles. A couple doctors are like, you could do it for 30 days. And so drink a lot of water, eat lean meats, do intermittent fasting, and the average person loses like between half a pound and a pound a day. If you do it so it's like you do it for 30 days, like the average person will lose 15 to 20 pounds.
Interesting. Do you get to use A1 sauce? That's the question here.
No, even if I did, I would not want to. That's the clear thing. But no, you're not. No seasoning, no sauce.
It's unfortunate. That's the whole. I feel like it's the sauce is the whole point. Like if I have a burger, I want ketchup. If I have steak, I want A1 sauce.
I don't know what quality meat you're eating that sauce is the whole point. Like we've got to up your game here, bro. This is.
I said this before when someone called me out for asking for A1 sauce when I went to the Eiffel Tower restaurant in Las Vegas. I had it's like $100+ steak, and I asked for A1 sauce, and the waiter looked offended. And then he brought out the A1 sauce. He's like, "Here's your A1 sauce, sir." And so I posted that on Facebook, and one of my friends. It was just giving me a tough time. He's a good guy, but he was like, I can't believe you put A1 sauce on $100 steak, Walt. I'm like, dude, I would put A1 sauce on $1 million steak. I love A1 sauce more than anything, except ketchup. I love ketchup too. But ketchup, not so much on steak, by the way. It's so weird because I love ketchup on cheeseburgers, but not so much on steak. I don't get why. Just like the texture or something just doesn't work for me. I don't know.
I mean, I can do ketchup on some things, but obviously the number of things I put ketchup on is significantly less than the things you seem to put ketchup on. And I would never put ketchup on a steak. I mean, oh my gosh.
When I was 5 or 6, I used to eat ketchup sandwiches, just bread, ketchup, and bread. It was great.
Listen, if you're eating steak that needs ketchup, like stop eating steak. Just go eat chicken nuggets or something.
Well, I mean, no, I think I love A1 sauce. Like I said, I'd just drink it out of the bottle if I could. Actually, I guess I can. I have it in my fridge, but I don't know. It might be frowned upon, but I guess I really don't care. I don't know. I just love it so much, and I mean, steak's good too, but I think that A1 sauce is what makes the meal, in my opinion. You don't agree, but I think I'm right.
I can't even. I don't even know. I don't even know what to say. I don't know what to say to this.
Speaking of, well, before we get to the football stuff, I actually had success losing weight. And I think I told the story before, but it was ahead of my wedding, and I was 205 or 210 pounds, and I wanted to lose weight to kind of look sort of good for my wedding, So I thought my goal was like, I want to get down to 160 because I used to be 160 and like
wow, 160. I mean, that's
Well, I was 160. I remember getting back. I took a trip to Boulder, Colorado in 2012, and I weighed myself getting back. I was like 158. So I was like, I want to get back to that, like when I was 30 years old, like, get back to my 30-year-old weight. So I wanted to drop from 210-ish to 160. And I almost got there. I got down to 165, and I just couldn't get that last five. I just couldn't do it. But I was so I went from 210 to 165, and what I did was I just ate half portions of what I usually eat, and then I exercised every day. Like I swam a mile plus every day, and that's what I did. And then I also like jogged a little bit, but so I worked out every day, at least once a day, and sometimes twice a day. And like that worked. It was like a 2-month thing, and in 2 months I lost like almost 50 pounds. The problem was, and you might remember this because the suit I wore at my wedding looked so baggy. It looked like I was a kid going to a bar mitzvah because I got tailored at 210, and I didn't even dawn on me that I should get retailored again once I lost 45 pounds. So like I put on my suit at like months after getting tailored for it, and I was like, why is this so baggy? I'm like, oh crap, I lost 45 pounds. I didn't get tailored for this.
You look good, but don't you worry.
You're lying. I looked horrible. At least my wife made up for it. She looked good. So, anyway, we'll get to this fantasy football stuff. But please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit the link in the description for the merch store. All that would help us out a lot. If you really want to help us, super chats. We had some great super chats yesterday. We had a $10 from Alan Stafford. We had a few others. We had a couple super stickers from Kevin Kovac. I didn't even know what super stickers were, but he had a couple of $5 super stickers. So I mean, like anything like that would be really appreciated, because I say this all the time, the YouTube ads pay nothing. Like really, like $1.50 or $1.90 was like the most I've seen, except for like the week of or the month of Christmas, December, and the holiday weekend for Thanksgiving. Like that's when usually like the YouTube ads do better. But like now that we're in the first 3 months of the season or the year, they just pay nothing. So if you really want to help the show keep going, just helping us with super chats would be really appreciated. Or just just leaving comments and stuff like that. It doesn't have to be about football or anything like that. Well, I'll answer anything. I don't know about Kenny, but I'll answer anything. Like yesterday, I don't know if you listened to the show, Kenny, yesterday, but we got derailed, and I spent like an hour and a half like talking about politics. So it's like there's like barely any football discussion, but it was a lot of fun. Alex says, if you marinate your steak in A1, would you still add more after you cook and grill it? Of course. Who do you think you're talking to here? Of course I would do that. That's like what I do for cheeseburgers too. Like I put ketchup on top. I lift the top bun, put ketchup, then lift the bottom bun and put ketchup. And then if it's a double cheeseburger, I separate the two patties and then put ketchup in the middle. That's how you have to do it.
I'm disgusted by you.
Okay. All right. We had a couple signings. Let's do them really quickly. The one you see on screen, the Panthers signed Jadeveon Clowney for 2 years, $20 million. I think this is a horrible signing. So like Clowney throughout his career has been, we've seen flashes of greatness. Like sometimes he looks amazing. And then other times like we've seen this for whole seasons too. Like he just looks like he's just not there. Like we'll see him get 10 sacks. Like last year he had 9.5 sacks. And then the next year he'll have like 2 sacks. And then the next year he'll have like 8.5 sacks, and then next year he'll have 1 sack. Like this has been his problem the entire career. It's kind of like motivation, and we saw that in South Carolina. Like he had an amazing was a sophomore year, and then his junior year, like he was just barely there. And like the excuses were like, oh, he's preserving himself, he doesn't want to get injured. But this is like how he's been his entire football career. And so like I'm just worried that coming off this great season he had in Baltimore, we had 9.5 sacks. I think he's just cashing out here because like in Baltimore, he was motivated. He had a great locker room, great coaching staff. And now Carolina, like this team is not good. They're not going to make the playoffs unless something crazy happens. And so I just have trouble seeing him like be motivated throughout the whole year. And I think this is him just cashing out, like being like, this is my last substantial contract, 31 now. I'm going to take the 20 million and ride off into the sunset. Oh, by the way, I have to play a few games for Carolina. I think he's going to have a horrible season. I think he's going to have like 4 or fewer sacks. So I gave this a D. What do you think?
I probably like this more than you do. Cause I mean, he's a productive player to me with Clowney. It's like we were talking about before we started recording. I'm just like, he's never been the guy that moves the needle for me. Like, he could be on your offense or play on your defense, and like he's a good player and he'll rack up sacks. Like he said, he had 9 sacks last year. Like he's had like statistically good seasons. Like you watch him play, and it's like I don't see him like actually wrecking the game. Like I don't see him actually making this huge difference. It doesn't feel like the offense is really all that afraid of him, and it feels like empty calories to some extent to me. And so it's like is he a good player? Yeah, he's a good player. He's fine. But as you said, he's inconsistent. And even in the years where he's been statistically really good, I'm not even convinced he was that really impactful on his teams. We see that with certain players. They can rack up stats, but you're like, it doesn't seem to be making a difference in the course of a game. And so, yeah, I don't know. I've never been a big believer in Clowney.
So listen to these sack numbers since 2018. So he had 9 in 2018. This is his final year in Houston. Then he had 3 in Seattle. Then he had 0 in Tennessee, and then he had 9 in Cleveland. In his second season in Cleveland, he had 2, and then he had 9.5 last year. So like it's super inconsistent there. But yeah, I agree though. Like we've never seen him have like this 14 sack season or anything like that. So I think like as a former number 1 overall pick, you have to say he's been a disappointment. If he were drafted in the second round, you'd be like, oh, he's had a good career, right? Right. But as a former number 1 pick, you're like, he's been pretty underwhelming. So I think there's some stigma attached to it from that angle. But I have trouble seeing him being motivated in Carolina, like I said before. So I don't like the signing at all. If he signed this exact contract with the team that had a chance to win the Super Bowl, like Chiefs, Bills, Bengals, or Eagles, etc., like someone like that, Jets were in conversation with him. I think that I would like this a lot more because there's more of a chance that he'd be motivated. But like, you're Carolina, like, what are you doing here? Like, the Panthers are not going to make the playoffs in the next 2 years, unless like Bryce Young makes this huge leap that I just don't foresee. Like what are they doing with him? It just feels like this is just a wasted signing. And if anything, I feel like the Panthers are blocking themselves from getting a better player in the draft by like maybe Clowney helps them win one more game than they normally would, and so they'd miss out on a good prospect. But although like their owner would probably screw it up anyway, so maybe it's a moot point.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. The other
retire, Clowney.
What'd you say?
Just retire.
I feel like this is his retirement. This is like his retirement gift. This is a gold watch. This is 2-year, $20 million contract. The other signing was Josh Reynolds. It's not on screen. I didn't get a chance to do it. I didn't see it because it's a busy day Wednesday. I had to take my son to swim lessons. Then we had to eat dinner, then bath time, then bed. And then like just doing other stuff. So Josh Reynolds signed with the Broncos, 2 years, $14 million. I don't like this at all. I mean, it's not a terrible signing. It's not like an F because it's not going to hurt Denver all that much if he busts, which I assume he will. But like Josh Reynolds is kind of like a one-trick pony. And I guess he kind of made sense of Detroit, where like this Detroit offense with a great offensive line, they could push the ball downfield, and they kind of needed someone to do that. And Reynolds filled that role like somewhat decently. But in Denver, you're gonna have Jarrett Stidham like throwing bombs to Josh Reynolds like behind an offensive line that's not that good. Like, how's that going to work? I just don't see how like this is going to pan out. Obviously, Denver is going to get a quarterback somehow. But they could miss out on all the first round prospects. They'll probably have to take like Bo Nix or Michael Penix Jr. in the second round. And so like, I just don't like the signing at all. I just don't like the fit, and Reynolds is not that good. So I'd probably give this a D as well. What do you think?
Yeah, I guess so. I'm like, it's not even worth me giving it a grade. That's how I feel. It's incomplete. It's like, you didn't show up to class. It's like me junior year in, elementary functions with Dr. Spector. I'm like, you didn't even show up to class. How can I even give you a grade? I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. So
I did the opposite.
Functions, by the way, is a math class for those of you who don't know. It's trigonometry.
I did the opposite in high school. I worked hard my junior year, and then I slacked off like all the other years because like colleges only look at junior year grades. So no, not only, but like it's mostly that. I got straight A's in junior year, and then I got 2 D's in senior year.
Excellent.
So I was like the Jadeveon Clowney of students.
Reynolds sucks. He sucks. What are they doing? Who cares? Like why they sign this guy? Why is he in the NFL?
If he signed somewhere, I thought it'd be like 1 year $4 million or 1 year $5 million. Like he's like a filler guy. So if he's your third receiver, you're not like you're not in great shape. You're like, okay, whatever. Like we can manage, I suppose. But yeah, it's gonna be pretty rough if Jarrett Stidham's the starter. The quarterbacks on Denver, by the way, Jarrett Stidham and Ben DiNucci right now.
Love
like,
it.
like, is there any team that's in worse shape quarterback wise than Denver right now? Because like at least the Raiders have Gardner Minshew and like Aiden O'Connell's a young quarterback. Like he did not play well for the most part last year, but he didn't have a good offensive line. So like you're thinking like maybe he has some potential, and like Minshew at least has done well as a backup. And then in Minnesota, I guess like Sam Darnold, but they're gonna trade out because they have 2 first-round picks, and Darnold at least is younger, But like Denver, I feel like Denver's in the worst shape.
Yeah, probably. Tennessee with Mason Rudolph, who you like obviously more than I do, and then they have Will Levis, but I like Levis more than you do, and so but that's a pretty bad situation too. But you're probably right. Denver's probably the worst.
Yeah,
Trying to think of other teams, but Tennessee's pretty close, I think.
Yeah, at least with Will Levis, there's like an unknown factor. Like he could be really good. Like maybe. I don't think so, but he could be good. Whereas like we know Stidham, like we know he's a below average backup, and we know Ben DiNucci, who's probably shouldn't be in the NFL.
I mean, they're going to try to trade for someone, right? You would imagine, or I mean, draft someone. But
you would think so, but yeah, you would think so. But they have less draft capital than Minnesota. So if like teams are in a bidding war, like Minnesota and Denver in a bidding war to trade up for a quarterback, like Minnesota's going to win because they have 2 first-round picks. So what's Denver going to do?
Maybe you just ride it with Stidham and see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, they may reach for like Bo Nix at number 12, which would be a disaster because I think he's a second-round prospect. But like, what other choices they have? That kind of like reeks of Christian Ponder being chosen by Minnesota. Remember, he was taken like number 10 overall, but he was a second-round prospect. Well, like Blaine Gabbert was another one. He was taken the first round, but I thought he was a second-round prospect. I think they're going to take a second-round guy at number 12. It's just going to be terrible.
I mean, you would imagine if you're in their scenario, just you gave up all this draft capital to go get Russell Wilson. That was a disaster. Like, if there's not a clear quarterback option for you at the spot you're drafting, then just try to stockpile picks, right? Just move back, stockpile picks, and just try to like rebuild, like fill in the rest of the gaps of your roster, and then try to go get a quarterback next year. I mean, it just seems like that would be the ideal scenario.
Yeah, I think that's what they should do. I think they should tank and try to get Shedeur Sanders, who's a local prospect. I mean, plays at Colorado. Or if not him, Drew Aller from Penn State. He's the other one that right now at the top of the 2025 draft. I think that's what they should do, because if they take Bo Nix or Penix, that's just a wasted first-round pick. I think you're right. I think they should trade back, get as much draft capital as possible, and just be like, all right, the fans, it's gonna be a rough year, but in 2025 we're gonna have some upside. So I think you're right about that. Patrick says, Clowney made me think I need more Kenny Pickett / Mason Rudolph discourse like last week. Still saddened by the Permanente brothers hot take last podcast. That's I've never had it before, so I can't argue with you on that one. But the Kenny Pickett Mason Rudolph argument was fun.
I did go back and watch. I'm like, this is Walt's fault. Look, I'm on a singing Saturday night. I'm on Game Pass watching Kenny Pickett passes from 2020. Like this is what you do to me. Like, I'm spending my Saturday night I'm in bed on my phone watching stupid Kenny Pickett plays. Mason Rudolph. I'm just like, what am I doing? Why am I watching this? This is not worth the energy of arguing over both of these guys.
It's not worth the energy. Unlike A1 sauce arguments, I think
absolutely. Here I stand. That is worthy of fighting against.
Yes, absolutely. Sue says Johnny Football is available for Denver. I saw him courtside at the A&M basketball game. Yeah, I mean, look, if you're the Broncos and you're going to suck, like, why not just entertain your fans? Like, bring in Johnny Manziel, bring in like Jamarcus Russell, like bring in like all the busts, like bring in like 10 of like the biggest draft busts of all time at quarterback, and just have this open competition between all 10. Like maybe like one of them's not bad, That's what I would do.
Lots of fun.
Yes. All right. Let's get to some of the storylines that we're excited about for fantasy football related to free agency. I have a top 5 list. You have a top 5 list. I don't know what you have. You don't know what I have. So we could have theoretically some duplicates. I kind of think we might have one duplicate. I'm kind of interested to see if you have one of mine. It's the top of my list. So we're going to get to that later. But I mean, do you want to lead off or should I?
Yeah. I'll give you my 2 honorable mentions real quick.
Okay. I don't have honorable mentions, so go ahead.
All right. I got 2. Hollywood Brown with the Chiefs and Curtis Samuel with the Bills. Those are I'm not super excited. They're honorable mention. To me, Hollywood Brown, I mean, I wouldn't be excited with him going almost anywhere else, to be honest. But with Patrick Mahomes, you get to play caddy there. I mean, I think it's a really good fit. We talked about it last week. I think it's a really good fit with the rest of the pieces of that offense. I'm excited to see what he does there. I think he'd be really great. And I foresee him being slightly underrated going into the summer. He's the kind of player that I don't imagine will get a lot of buzz. And then Curtis Samuel is the other one. I think Curtis Samuel will not get any buzz. I mean, we know what he is. He's been a gadget player most of his career. He'll probably be drafted late, but I could see him getting, kind of boomer bust. I mean, if Gabe Davis could give you boomer bust, I think Curtis Samuel could do the same. I think there'll be weeks where Curtis Samuel gets, a rushing touchdown and 5 or 6 catches. And then, of course, you won't do anything for 4 or 5 weeks at a time, probably. But I think he'll be a little bit more consistent than Gabe Davis, and I think he's a little bit better fit for that offense. So I'm excited to see what that could do. And I don't know, I could see Curtis Samuel being like a decent, occasional flex option in 2024, a guy you drafted late in the draft. So I don't know. I'm kind of excited about those 2 guys. What do you think of those guys?
Well, it's funny because they're both on my list. So
oh, that's funny. Okay.
We'll get to them. So I might as well go first because you took 2 of mine. My number 5 is Curtis Samuel going to the Bills. And I think this offense could be a lot of fun this year, not just because of Curtis Samuel, but number 28 overall. They're going to have a lot of options at receiver, and they could take one of them. I have that in my mock draft. I have them taking Adonai Mitchell from Texas. So you're going to have Adonai Mitchell, potentially someone like him, Curtis Samuel, Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, and of course, Stephon Diggs, and James Cook, who in the second half of the year last year was pretty electric. So you're going to have all those players with Josh Allen. I think that's going to be such a fun offense to watch. And Curtis Samuel, especially because he's such a creative gadget player. We kind of may have a blueprint of how the Bills are going to use him because Samuel played under Joe Brady in Carolina. So there's not going to be any sort of transition period. So it's not like he's going to go there and they'll be like, oh, we don't know how to use him. Like, why'd we sign him? They know how they're going to use him. But we're going to see him with Josh Allen. I think that's the exciting part. Right. Just giving Josh Allen more weapons, because we've seen Allen throw to outside of Stephon Diggs and Kincaid recently. It's been what, Gabe Davis, Emmanuel Sanders, Khalil Shakir. Shakir's okay, but still he's not an exciting player like Samuel or Adonai Mitchell. Mm-hmm. And so I'm really excited to see Buffalo's offense with all these guys and also Samuel.
100%. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so what is your number 5?
My number 5 is Justin Fields, which sounds odd because he's not the starter right now. But I'm thoroughly convinced Justin Fields is better than Russell Wilson at this stage of their careers. And I got to imagine, I still think Tomlin's a good coach. I think he's slightly overrated, but I think he's a good coach. I can imagine Tomlin's going to be watching film with their offensive staff, and they're going to just be like, dude, Russell Wilson sucks. What are we doing? And at some point, they'll be 3-3, and, they would have just come off some, they would have just, barely beat the Browns or whatever. They would have just barely beaten some mediocre team, 10 to, or 9-6, 3 field goals. And it's they're just gonna be our offense sucks. Russell Wilson sucks. Let's just give the kid a chance. And we saw what Justin Fields could do from a fantasy perspective. The jury is still out whether or not he's a good NFL quarterback, maybe. But I think there's tremendous talent there. And we saw, he's got an electric arm. He runs all over the place. I could easily say, there's not a lot of weapons on those Steelers, but they're good enough. Offensive line, is going to be mediocre, and offensive weapons are not going to be great. But I think they'll be good enough for him to just move the offense and be productive. And I think you take Justin Fields in the last round of your fantasy draft, probably, or maybe he's even undrafted, right? And maybe midway through the season, he's he's a top 6, top 7 quarterback, fantasy quarterback. I think that's realistic.
So over under week 7 as the starter. Do you think he's, or I guess sooner or later? Or would you think he's sooner than week 7 or later than week 7?
Oh man, I mean, in my mind, week 7 is the week. That's exactly right. It's probably later. I would imagine they're going to give Russell Wilson a significant leash. And so you're not drafting Fields at that point, right? You're just going to hope to pick him on the waiver wire down the road. But if Russell Wilson comes out my guess would be later. But I can see a scenario, maybe it's only 20%, but like if Russell Wilson just totally sucks, 2, 3, 4 games in, they're just like, okay, we're going to give Fields a chance because Wilson's terrible.
I'm going to say it right now. Week 3, it's Justin Fields.
Wow. Okay. All right. That's early.
I think I think the Steelers go 0-2. Tomlin's like, all right, we got to go to Fields. I think that's going to happen because we know Russell Wilson sucks. Like we see in the past 2 years, he's terrible.
Yeah, and they've got to give, because like they got to decide if they're going to keep him right beyond 2024. They could do the 5th-year option. What's like $25 million to keep him in 2025 or something like that. Like if you're going to pay him that, like you got to do that based on some knowledge of what you've seen, right? I mean, you're not going to do that if he hasn't played at all.
Right. Yeah. And I guess like one angle is like, if he plays fewer than a certain number of snaps, they have to give only a 6th-round pick instead of a 4th-round pick. But I don't think that's going to be a factor in. Now, if it's close, it's like week 7, maybe they hold off a couple weeks. But I really think that they're going to pull the plug on Wilson like pretty quickly. This almost made it into my top 5. Like the only hesitation I had is that like I'm just not excited about the Pittsburgh receivers because Deontay Johnson's gone. They still have Pickens though, and I think that's gonna be fun. Like Fields to Pickens, like we saw what Fields did with DJ Moore when the two like got comfortable together in the second half of the year. Like I think Pickens could have some monster games. But the fact like that they traded Deontay Johnson, they don't have anyone else. That kind of hurt it. But although this receiver class is really good, so I assume that they're going to take a receiver in the 2nd round like they usually do. And Pittsburgh's usually really good at drafting receivers, so maybe this receiver that they get in the 2nd round is going to do well right away.
Yeah.
Sue says week 3 it is Fields, and then week 6 he gets hurt and back to Russell Wilson week 7. Yep. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. Fields can't stay healthy. That's he takes a lot of big hits because he runs so much. That is the problem with him, and also Anthony Richardson. Like I feel like Richardson got hurt in every single game he played in last year. Like he was electric at times, but in every game he got hurt. And I know he lasted the entire game against the Rams, but he was so banged up by the end of that game. He's another one. I hope they stay healthy because they're so exciting to watch, but we just haven't seen it. And it's like Kyler Murray too. Murray has never played a full season either.
Same.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, my number 4. You know what? This is my number 3. I'm going to slide at the 4 just because like you touched on it already. It's the Marquise Brown to the Chiefs. And like you said, like Marquise Brown isn't the most exciting player in the NFL. If this were like Tyreek Hill going back to the Chiefs, we would be really excited because we've seen Tyreek Hill on the Chiefs before with Kelsey, and it was electric. But they didn't have this underneath guy like Rashee Rice either. So right. Like that's like the added angle there. But Marquise Brown is going to be so much better for the Chiefs than the guy who played in that role last year, which is Marquez Valdes-Scantling. So you're gonna have Brown. You're gonna have Brown over the top. You're gonna have Kelsey over the middle of the field. You're gonna have Rashee Rice underneath, and like Patrick Mahomes' like receiving core just got so much better with Brown. Even though like Brown's not like this All Pro, I feel like Brown's gonna have his best year yet because like Brown has had nothing but scrambling quarterbacks or bad quarterbacks throwing to him. He's had Lamar Jackson to start, and Lamar Jackson's a great runner, but he's not like an elite passer. Same thing with Kyler Murray, like a great runner, just not a great passer. But now he has Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback in the NFL. So I think Brown could reach his potential, and there's distractions like people aren't going to be able to lock themselves on Brown, the defenses. I mean, because like I said, you have Rashee Rice, you have Travis Kelsey, so you can't really like focus on Marquise Brown for the defense. So I really want to see how this offense looks. I'm really excited for it.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your number 4?
My number 4 is the Bears offense, which may be a little surprising, but I'm excited to see what this team can do. I like the offensive line. I like the running backs that they've added that they have there. they've got a trio. From a fantasy perspective, I don't know that I want to own any of those running backs at this point because it's going to be a mesh. Swift, Rashawn Johnson, and Khalil Herbert. But I like the general offense. So the player that I'm going to like the most is Keenan Allen. I mean, I like I like DJ Moore. Obviously, I've been a big DJ Moore fan for all of his career. Keenan Allen, though, he still has it. His game has never been predicated on speed or quickness. So even as he gets older, I don't think games are gonna tail off. He's the kind of player that I think could play late into his 30s and be still very productive. He's a precision route runner, fantastic hands. He's a smart player. He knows how to use his body. All of that stuff is the stuff that doesn't go away, even as you get older and get slower. And so, and it's the type of style that makes great for a young quarterback. Like people say about, tight ends are great for a young quarterback because they can dump the ball off. It's not really just tight ends. It's guys that know how to get open on quick intermediate routes. And Keenan Allen is that. And so I just think if Caleb Williams is everything, I don't watch college football as much as you do. So I don't know. I've seen this guy play one game in his career. But if he is what everyone says he is and what the hype is saying, I think this offense is going to be really good. I don't know how far the Bears will go, but I think they'll be really good. And I think all of these players will be underrated going in the fantasy drafts.
We discussed Caleb Williams a little bit yesterday, and people brought up some of the stuff attached to Caleb Williams, and I'm almost too afraid to ask based on some reaction we had with another player. But what do you think about the painted nails and the lip gloss and the pink phone with Caleb Williams?
I could do without that. I could do without that nonsense, but he's not my son.
I was expecting a reaction kind of like we had with who's that player? Was it who's the guy you talked about before? Very negatively. The receiver. Matt Collins. Right. Yes.
Oh yeah.
A more tamed answer from Kenny this time.
I just feel like I don't know this kid Caleb Williams. I just feel like I can't. Listen, call me old school. Guys should not be having fingernail polish. I just think that's weird. Don't at me. I don't care about your opinion. And so, yeah, I think all that stuff is weird. But listen, when I go to Starbucks and the girl has the green hair with 19 facial piercings, I think that's weird too. But listen, it's America. You do what you want.
Yeah, no, I'm all for people doing what they want. My favorite thing at Starbucks, I took a picture of this. I haven't written about it in Jerks of the Week, but they highlighted the employee of the week. They highlighted, and it's their name and then their interests, and there's pronouns like she, her. It's okay, and it's okay, yeah, you're a girl, of course you're a she, her. So it's so stupid, this whole thing.
I have preferred adjectives, by the way. I don't know if you know. My preferred adjectives are handsome and charming. And so everyone, when you're talking about you must call me handsome and charming, or you are a bigot.
Yeah, you're a bigot. You're going to be canceled. Absolutely. I can't wait for the person to go. I'm she, him, or he, her. So if I'm used as the subject in the sentence, I'm a man. But if I'm used as the object in the sentence, I'm a woman. And vice versa. I would love to see that. Stone Papa Smurf asking, why do you think the Raiders take JC Latham over Olo Fashanu? I just think it's a more schematic thing there because the Raiders have a left tackle, and I think I think he's more of a right tackle. I mean, obviously he can play left tackle too, but I think he's more of a right tackle, whereas Fashanu I think is more of a left tackle. So you can flip flop those picks. It wasn't that was the only thought I had behind it. And I think I rate Latham just a slightly bit better than Fashanu, but it's super close. So there wasn't a deep thought process behind this. And I think we're gonna probably get some info on the Raiders. At least I hope so. And the Jets as well. The Jets could take one of them too. So we'll probably get some info on that from Charlie in the coming weeks. Sue says pink hair lady at Dunkin' No Nuts as from Jerks of the Week. Yeah, this lady with pink hair at Dunkin' Donuts, No Nuts, because that's how my son says donuts. She was one of the weirdest people I've encountered in a while. Now, granted, I haven't been out of the house that much because I have 2 kids, but she was very strange. Like this is part of the jerks. You can read the whole thing, but my son wanted to go to Dunkin' Donuts. He's like, no nuts, no nuts, no nuts. Like he knows, like my Dunkin' Donuts is right near my house. I can just walk to it. So like we're in that direction. He's like, no nuts, no nuts. I'm like, all right, fine, let's go to Dunkin' Donuts. And like I had to take a crap like real quickly. And so I was like, it's just like convenient. So we went into the store, we ordered, and I'm like, hey, can I use your bathroom? She's like, yeah, the passcode is 1357. I'm like, okay. So I go in and like, it's just real quick and explosive, I should say, to keep it family friendly. And then like 5 minutes later, I walk out with my son and what she said, oh, I forgot how she put it. She's like, man, I have to find it. I can't like, I don't want to do some injustice to this, but she like the way she phrased it, it was so weird. The pink haired pink haired lady. I'll find it right now. She said, she said, she looked at my son and she said, did your daddy have a nice squirt?
That's strange. That's very weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Okay.
And that's like one of the many weird things she said during my trip there. It was so weird. I don't know. She said she like I was talking to myself. I was like, we need a straw, and she said, I'd lend you a straw, but I don't have any balls. She said this to me. I'm like, well, what? What does that mean? So like you would read about this jerks of the week entry. It's on the site. So
why are people so strange? Why are humans strange?
But she had pink hair. I was this natural pink hair, I'm sure, that she had. And by the way, it's like this, did anyone go like, oh, I liked your brown hair before. This pink hair is like so pretty, on you. It's like, did anyone ever say that to her, do you think?
No, probably not.
I don't think so either. All right. So you gave your number 4, right? That was the Bears offense.
Yep.
So I'll give my number 3. So it is the Falcons finally having a good quarterback. So we saw this team last year. They almost made the playoffs, which is pretty remarkable. Like they were 1 win away from making the playoffs, despite having maybe the worst season-long quarterbacking of any team in the NFL. Like, and like, granted, there was a lot of terrible quarterbacking last year. But like for the entire season, they had Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke. Both were awful, and yet they almost made the playoffs. So like now you have Kirk Cousins there, and granted he's coming off a torn Achilles, but still, he's going to be so much better than those 2 quarterbacks. And so I'm really excited to see Drake London have a good quarterback for the first time in his career. Like, granted, it's only his 3rd year, but still, he's had some terrible quarterbacking thus far. So he could really reach his potential. And I feel like he's underrated right now in fantasy, or at least like I think he is. I haven't looked at the ADP, but I imagine he's going to be drafted a little too late for where he should be. And then, of course, how can I forget Darno Mooney, our friend Darno Mooney, who I spent $270 on for that Rainmaker card. So I'm very excited to see what happens there. And, I know Kyle Pitts has been a disaster thus far. But Kirk Cousins could get the most out of him, and he could finally have that season that we've been waiting for. So I'm excited to see this Atlanta offense. And I'm excited to see this super sticker from Kevin Kovac, $1.99. Thank you so much, Kevin. I really appreciate it. Like,
Kevin, you're the real one.
Yeah, like yesterday, you had 2 $5 super stickers. This is awesome, Kevin. Thank you so much for your support. I just really appreciate it. If you have any comments or questions, just post it. We'll get to it right away. Thank you so much, Kevin. So, what do you think about Atlanta's offense as far as being exciting?
It didn't make my list, and I thought about them. I just am not as excited. I don't love. I think Drake London has been okay. I'm not a huge believer. I'm not sure Raheem Morris is the kind of coach that's going to bring in a dynamic offense that I'm super excited about. And Kirk Cousins had a really great year. I mean, probably maybe the best season of his career before he got injured. He's coming off an Achilles. I would imagine he might start off slow. And I'm not a Darnell Mooney fan. So, I think definitely, I think every point you made is right. Like, this is certainly the best quarterback that Drake London's had. New coaching staff, new quarterback. Like, there should be a significant, uptick for this offense. Bijan Robinson, maybe, he's got the talent to be maybe the best running back in the NFL. I mean, he's in that. So maybe it could be. There's enough question marks for me to not be super excited just yet.
It's fair enough. I'm more excited about Mooney, but that's a personal thing just because I have that Rainmaker card. If I didn't have that Rainmaker card, I probably wouldn't care. All right, what is your number 3?
My number 3 is the what's his nickname? The hamster wheel, the hamster muscle. What's his nickname? I don't know.
Muscle hamster.
Muscle hamster, is that his nickname? Josh Jacobs. He's got a nickname, right? He called the muscle hamster or something. I don't know.
Wasn't that Ray Rice?
Oh, I thought it was Jed. Anyway.
I don't know. I think wasn't it Ray Rice? I got
on Twitter, called him the muscle hamster, the hamster muscle, whatever. Anyway, Josh Jacobs, who he's just freaking awesome, and he's played with
Doug Martin. Doug Martin, not.
Doug Martin. That's right. I mixed them up. Sorry.
We both screwed up.
Doug Martin and Josh Jacobs have very similar style. They're similar, like their frame is similar style games. Josh Jacobs is better in my opinion, but yeah, Doug Martin had a nice little career, right? A couple years there. Anyway, Josh Jacobs he's an excellent player, and he's finally, I think, going to be in a team that will actually use him better. I expect Jordan Love to take a step forward. I expect this offensive line to be better. I expect the team to be better, and Jacobs is going to be great. I'm very excited to draft him. I've always been higher on him, than most people. Not a big, like slightly, almost every year I think he's a mid to late first round pick, and then everyone else is more like, oh no, he's more like a late first, early second. So I'm always slightly higher on him than what the market has seemingly been. And I would imagine it'll be the same again. I'm really excited to see him play for the Packers in what I think will be a much more formidable offense than what we've seen him in over the last couple of years.
So how frustrated are you going to be when AJ Dillon gets like 12 carries a game?
Yeah, that'll be annoying. I can't imagine that'll happen.
Because he would get carries over Aaron Jones, like, and it wouldn't matter how well Aaron Jones was playing. Like they'd still put in AJ Dillon, and like they re-signed him for some reason. Like I feel like he has to have like some naked pictures of people in the higher ups in Green Bay. Like that's like the only explanation I have for like why they would want to bring him back. Like if you were to tell me after the Dallas game that where Aaron Jones went nuts, like absolutely crazy, he had a great game, that like in a few months Aaron Jones would not be on the team. And he would sign only a 1-year contract for $7 million. And then AJ Dillon would still be on the team. Like I would have called you completely nuts. I would have had you committed. And yet that's what happened.
Yeah, it's AJ Dillon sucks. And, but I feel like to some extent, Aaron Jones also is just so often injured that he's missed so many games. I wonder if the coaching staff just wanted to spell him a lot. And I think Josh Jacobs is a better player than Aaron Jones. I think Aaron Jones is a very good player. I'm not dogging him, but I think Jacobs is a next level kind of guy. And so I would imagine they would trust him more. Well, I guess I hope so.
Well, they did pay him $48 million. So I think you're right. Like I feel like Dillon's going to get he's going to go down to like 4 or 5 carries a game. Like just give Jacobs some rest. But it is a long season. So, I mean, there are going to be some weeks where Dillon gets 8 or 9 carries and it's going to be frustrating, but I think they may want to save Jacobs for down the stretch. My top 2 both involve running backs. And neither is Jacobs, but I could definitely see Jacobs like being on the list for sure. If I had an honorable mention, he probably would have made it. My number 2 is I know a running back that you've liked a lot over the years, and he's in a new place. It's Joe Mixon going to Houston. And I'm really curious about this fit because Joe Mixon has been, I feel like, an underrated player for a long time. And he just got stuck behind bad offensive line after bad offensive line in Cincinnati, just never had great blocking in front of him. And now he goes to a Houston team that made Devin Singletary look like a really good player last year. Singletary was just a pedestrian in Buffalo. He goes to Houston as a backup. He's behind Dameon Pierce. No one even considers to draft him last year. And yet he finished the year so strong. Singletary's gone now, but you have Joe Mixon in, and Mixon's more talented than Singletary. So I'm excited to see what Mixon does in this offense in Houston, just given that he's going to have great, really good blocking in front of him for the first time. So what do you think about Mixon?
Well, I will just refer to you to my number 2, Joe Mixon in Houston.
There you go.
That's what I think of it. Yeah, I'm super excited about Joe Mixon in Houston. I've always been a big Mixon fan. Loved him. He did seem like he took a slight step back last year from previous years. But but he's a great player. I mean, he has played behind just terrible offensive lines his entire career. He's been in the league now since 2017, I think. And gosh, he just feels like year after year, the offensive line there has just been terrible. And there are some years where you just can't get worse. And it does get worse. And so there are years where just like, man, if he was even, in his prime, kind of 2018 to 2020, like if he was behind even a mediocre offensive line, he would have led the league in rushing. Like that's how I felt. Like, he was just so good. But now he's with Houston, and I'm not just excited about Mixon. I'm also excited about CJ Stroud. I've gone back and watched a little bit of CJ Stroud again. Dude, he's so good. And I think he's going to just take a big step forward. Like I could easily see the Texans being a legitimate Super Bowl contender. Obviously beating Mahomes and the Chiefs in the AFC is always going to be a hard task, but I don't think it's out of the question. I think that the CJ Stroud could lead the Texans to the Super Bowl, in the very near future. And, when you give a young quarterback, a good running back to kind of just take the load off, it just makes a big difference. And so I could see this offense with the addition of Mixon and CJ Stroud taking a step forward. I could see this offense just being, prolific all year long. And I'm going to want to own a lot of pieces of it. I don't think they're going to be underpriced, but I think they're going to be really good. So, Tank Dell, Nico Collins, I think those kind of players are going to be worth it.
Well, I'm glad that you didn't only watch crappy quarterbacks. Just Mason Rudolph versus Kenny Pickett. You also got to watch CJ Stroud, so I'm happy for you. But I thought Mixon took a step back in 2022 personally, not last year. And then like this is during the season, and like I felt like Mixon looked awful at times in 2022. And then it came out after the season that he suffered an injury at some point early in the year, and he just kept playing through it. And so that explained why his numbers were down in 2022. I thought last year he at times he looked like pretty good. He just didn't have the blocking in front of him. So so I'm not, I guess I can't say I'm surprised that you have him rated pretty highly for this storyline, just like I do. So we've both been Mixon supporters throughout the years, and just he hasn't had good blocking, and now he does. So I'm excited to see it. So my number one storyline also involves a running back. This is the storyline I thought you were definitely going to have, and I'd be shocked if you don't have this number one. So I'm eager to hear what you have. My number one storyline I'm excited for based on free agency is Saquon Barkley going to the Eagles, because the Eagles have their offense has been prolific over the years, but they haven't had this great running back. Like last year, they had DeAndre Swift, who's good. He's not great. He's got talent, but he can't stay healthy, and just he's not like an elite player. They had Miles Sanders before that, and Sanders is a great athlete who can go the distance anytime he touches the ball, but he's not like a good runner. Like he just doesn't see holes and stuff like that. You've highlighted this over the years. They've had Jordan Howard. Who else have they had over the years? The Joseph Adai. No, not Joseph Adai. The guy from Miami. What's his name? That they got from the Dolphins. Do you remember? In 2017, they got him.
Jay Ajayi.
Right. Joseph Adai sounds similar. Yeah, Jay Ajayi. They had him. Good player, not great. The Eagles haven't had a great running back. I feel like maybe correct me if I'm wrong, since like Brian Westbrook.
LaShawn McCoy 10 years ago.
Yeah, LaShawn. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, LaShawn McCoy. You're right.
It's been 10 years.
It's been a long time. It's the first time since this regime started. And they have a great offense otherwise, but now they have this supreme running back in the backfield, like one of the best running backs in the NFL when he's healthy. And he's not coming off an injury of any sort. So I'm really excited to see Barkley in this offense. It could take the Eagles to another level. And behind one of the best offensive lines in the NFL, like Barkley could have an amazing year. So I'm excited for it. So is that your number one?
My number one is Ryan Tannehill to the Raiders.
Oh, okay.
Just kidding. Of course it's Saquon Barkley, number one.
Nice.
What if it really was Ryan Tannehill to the Raiders? What if I was really excited about that for some reason?
Did he even sign with the Raiders? Where's Ryan Tannehill?
Yeah. I thought he signed with the Raiders, didn't he?
It says he could be an option for the Raiders. I see.
Oh yeah. Okay. Oh, I thought he already signed. Okay, I know he was out there.
Oh,
Or
no, okay.
whatever.
So yeah, Raiders urged to sign. So yeah, I don't know if this is official yet.
Okay, maybe not.
Yeah,
Maybe
go
not official yet, but yeah, I was being ridiculous. Yeah, absolutely. It's Saquon. I'm excited. Obviously, I'm an Eagles fan, so that's my first level of excitement. Similar to what I said with CJ Stroud, man. You know, there are certain types of running backs that just really take a load off a quarterback. Not every good running back does that. Some good running backs, they're not the kind of running backs that offenses are game planning around, and so they don't have the same effect on the quarterback. But Saquon is that kind of guy. Yeah, as you said, he may not be the player he was 2 years ago. I think it's possible to say maybe he's taken a slight step back. But gosh, if he's healthy, even if he's 90% of what he was a year or two ago, he will be phenomenal. I mentioned this statistic, I think it was last week, the week before. According to PFF, the run block winning ratio or percentage, the percentage of time that Eagles offensive line would win win their blocks, they were number one in the NFL in 2022. 2023. Number one in the NFL last year in winning block ratio. The Giants were 31st, second to last. And so some of the advanced statistics, like the number of yards, before contact for Eagles running backs is 1.5 yards more than the Giants running backs over the last 3 seasons. There's going to be way more blocking for Saquon. And I just think just a better offense. Kellen Moore has been very effective in using running backs in his career. We've seen that with him. I'm really excited about him and Jalen Hurts playing together. Jalen Hurts had some really good moments last year and had some really terrible moments last year. And I think he really needs a support against. I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to. He's not an elite passer. He's not in the same category as a Mahomes or some of the other guys you might mention. But he's close. But what he needs is a cast. And you can say that about a lot of quarterbacks. Obviously, every quarterback needs help, certainly. But having a running back like this, I think, is going to help Jalen Hurts so much. And so I'm stoked. I was going to say stoked, but excited and stoked mixed together. As an Eagles fan, to see Saquon there. And as from a fantasy perspective, I think Saquon's easily a guy you could take at the early part of the first round and be confident. Could it not work? Of course it could. I mean, it could be a bust. It happens. Saquon's had injuries. So it's not devoid of risk. But I think from a fantasy perspective, this is going to be helpful. And then it's going to open up things. I mean, last year the Eagles saw so much too high safety, which really struggled. Hurts is terrible against too high safety. The year before they went to the Super Bowl, they saw very little too high safety. It was all cover 1, cover 3, a lot of man to man. I mean, man to man, Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown are going to torch you. That's where Jalen's going to be fantastic against man to man. And so if you do cover 2 against this team, if you do too high safety against Saquon, he's going to run all over you. So teams are not going to be able to run that defense. It's just going to open things up for AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. I mean, I think it's going to be awesome. So I'm super stoked.
I'm stoked as well. It's going to be a great offense. It's really going to open up stuff for AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, as you said. It's going to make the Eagles offense so explosive, and it was already explosive. And now it's going to take it to another level. So I think the Eagles are a team I'm going to bet to win the Super Bowl. Not sure what their current number is. According to FanDuel,
20-1 recently.
It was 16-1 on FanDuel. Maybe it changed after the Saquon Barkley signing. You could probably find something better out there. But FanDuel usually has pretty good numbers. Bookmaker has good numbers as well. I kind of wonder what they are at Bookmaker. Football Street. I'm at there right now. So
at Hard Rock, it's now 18-1 at Hard Rock.
Interesting.
So
yeah. Bookmaker is 15.5 to 1. So not as good of a number there. Hard Rock 18-1. So yeah, it looks like you have a good number there, but unfortunately you only have one sports book to deal with, which is I don't understand.
So there's the VIG I'm just making clear I'm not promoting gambling. I'm just giving information It's available to the general public. The VIGs at Hard Rock are always a little more expensive than the national numbers. It's always 115 or more.
Wait, so if you bet a side in the NFL, you have to pay 115.
Yeah, almost always.
Oh my god, that's
both
ways.
Yeah, usually. I mean, it varies from bet to bet, but when you're the only game in town, so there's only one legal sports book in Florida. It's Hard Rock out of Tampa, and so when you're the monopoly, I guess. I'm actually surprised they haven't done work. I mean, that it's only 115. When you're the only game in town, it wouldn't surprise me if they would bump it up a little bit.
Yeah, just jack it up. Yeah, why not? Well, you can always use Bookmaker and Bovada, right?
Right.
Like,
I mean, they know guys will go to offshore books if they did it too much.
Yeah, that's fair. I found on Caesars it's 17-1, so pretty close to your number. I haven't looked at every sportsbook yet, but I imagine it's it's going to be in that ballpark. I really wonder if there's going to be a sportsbook that has 18-1 that's not Hard Rock. So I'm going to check Bovada real fast, even though Bovada is somewhat of a sketchy sportsbook. Bovada's 12-1, so it's a weird number. So yeah, it's all over the place.
At Hard Rock, Houston's 20-1. I like that too, man. That feels like a good bet, right?
I think it's about right. She's the 20. I feel like this could be 18-1 or 20-1. Houston at FanDuel is 20-1 as well. Okay. I think that's fine. Houston at Caesars is 22-1. So that's there we go. So I had the advantage there. Nice. So yeah, I don't know. We can go into a rant about this another time, but I really don't get Florida. Like usually it's usually a pretty good state with stuff like this, but how do you only have one sports book? I think it's just like giving Hard Rock a monopoly is horrible.
Yeah, it's not just that they only have one. It's the way the laws have been construed has like almost intentionally led to that. So it's worse than just like, oh, we only have one. They've passed dumb laws that have basically reinforced only one sport book can operate. And so, yeah.
Do you foresee it changing anytime soon, or
the local people in Florida don't seem to care or think it's worthy of lobbying. So, I feel like in other parts of the country, there's more of a groundswell, more of a kind of a grassroots movement where people want to do sports betting, and so I think you see that. I don't think we see that in Florida, at least from my vantage point. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's some places where that's the case, but it doesn't seem like it. And so, it doesn't seem like it's going to change anytime soon.
Yeah, what I don't get is like states that have betting, but you can't play picking sites like like Underdog or whatever. I don't get that at all. The fact that I have to drive to New Jersey every Wednesday to enter in Rainmakers lineups is absurd. Like, that doesn't make any sense. I could gamble all I want on player props, betting, like sides, futures, etc. For any sport, but I can't do Rainmakers here. I have to make a 20-minute drive to New Jersey and park my car in the Trenton Thunder baseball stadium and do my lineups there.
It does seem that does seem quite inconsistent.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. But anyway, I think that's about it. Do you have anything to plug? Maybe your site, perhaps.
Yeah, thecapIsFake.com. We just have a new article just went live.
Oh, nice.
Just went live about an hour ago. Or an hour before we started recording. So I wrote an article covering the rookie cap, rookie pool, and rookie wage scale. And so there seems to be a lot of confusion. People out there, what's the rookie cap? How does it impact the salary cap? So kind of explaining how the rookie pool is calculated. How does it impact the salary cap? How are the NFL calculations done? So if you're interested in learning more about how the rookie cap works, rookie pool, wage scale, all that stuff, all the nerdy parts of that, check it out. It's not a super long read. It's only like I think it's like 1,200 words. It's not super long.
Nice. That's awesome. Kevin, $10 super chat. Thanks for going live tonight.
Kevin.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Really, really appreciate it. This is awesome. I say this all the time, but like when we get super chats, like after the show, whoever I'm co-hosting with, we're like, oh, that's so cool. Like we got some support, and it really keeps the show going because, like I said, YouTube ads paid nothing. So thank you so much, Kevin. Really appreciate it. Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow night as well. Tom's gonna be on. It's always fun with Tom because our conversations like derail to utter nonsense sometimes. But it's always a blast. And then I think Tom's gonna double dip this week. I think he's gonna be on Saturday as well. So and then next week we're gonna have the normal schedule. I think Jacob should be back on Tuesday. But yeah, Kevin, thank you so much. Just really appreciate it. Yeah, thank you, Kevin. And thank you, Rockets, for covering tonight. We had the Rockets as well. I went 2-1 in my picks tonight. The Rockets was a win. I had Tyrese Halliburton under points that one as well. We lost to the Trailblazers, who they were plus 10 or 10.5 against Atlanta. And it was weird. It was like a tie game at like around halftime. And I put my son to bed, and then I go downstairs. Putting my son to bed is like the whole long process because he wants to read the same book like 4 times. Which is like fine. So he got this Mario book that he loves. So I read that to him, and then I put him to bed, and then I go downstairs, I go to the bathroom, whatever, and I come out and I look at the score, and like the Blazers, instead of being tied, they're down like 16. I'm like, what happened in this like 45-minute span? That like you would be tied and then now you're down 16. So that was the losing side that we had tonight. But I'll take 2-1 anytime. So yeah, thanks so much, guys, for commenting and watching. Just really appreciate it. Check out thecapsfake.com. I will be reading this article. I didn't know you had a new one, so that's exciting. So I'll definitely check it out. Kenny, it's always great to do the show with you. Can't wait for next week. We'll have another fantasy football topic that we'll discuss then. But yeah, like I said, we'll be back tomorrow with Tom, and hope you guys have a great night, and then I'll talk to you later.
You the man, Walt.
You too.